When a child is learning to talk, they spend the first few months of their lives completely immersed in language. And even then, it takes quite a few months for them to begin to use their first words. Then when they start to learn to use new words, they need to hear those words used again and again across a range of different contexts. This is no different for children who use symbols to communicate. They need to see other people using those symbols so that they can firstly attach meaning to the symbol and secondly begin to use those symbols meaningfully within their own communication. This is a process known as modelling, and today I thought I would talk to you about how you can use steps to language to model symbol use to your child. We're going to start by looking at the core words. So this is steps to language level 1, and we have 6 core words at the side of the screen. Core words are words that we use again and again across the day to convey multiple messages. They're very powerful words that make up a majority of our daily speech, and they're often the first words that young children begin to use. So I'm going to give you some helpful tips as to how you can model core words to your child. So my first tip would be to use the core words in your daily routines. You don't need to set aside 15 minutes of modelling time. Modelling can be integrated into everything that you do. So for example, if you were asking the child if they wanted a snack, you might use steps to language to model you
want
snack, you need
help
to peel it. So that way the child is attaching meaning to the words that you have used in that context. So my second tip would be to make it fun. If you're focusing on 1 or 2 of the core words, try and choose an activity that's really motivational for your child. That will really help to bring the language to life. My third tip would be to use the symbols for multiple functions. So to make comments, to request, to respond. So for example, if you were blowing bubbles, you might comment and say, I like the bubbles. You might request and say, I want more bubbles. You might use sentence completion cues, so something that we might use with preschool children, those little phrases that a child has to respond. Let's say, ready, steady,
go.
And that's teaching the child how the language has multiple functions and can be used in so many different ways within one activity. My fourth tip would be to pause frequently. So when you've modelled vocabulary to the child, hang back for a little bit and give your child a chance to respond. It might be that they copy what you've modelled. It might be that they use different vocabulary, or perhaps they don't respond at all. And that's okay, but we need to give them the opportunity to do that and to explore using the vocabulary themselves. And then what's equally important is we need to respond to the vocabulary that they do use. So if they copy what we've modelled, we can respond. If they use different vocabulary, for example, they might say,
stop.
You could say, oh, you want to stop the bubbles now, let's do something different. So they begin to see the power of the words that they've used and how they are in control of the situation by communicating. My last tip would be to expand. So to expand upon what the child has said. A good way to introduce this is by using the topics folder. So you can see we have the topics folder down here, and within the topics folder we have lots of quite motivational activities. I'm going to select read. So you could open one of these pages during a reading activity and then use the symbols to talk about the activity that you're doing. If the child was to select a symbol such as
More.
you might say, oh, you want some more? You like this book. So you're expanding on what they're saying, you're adding a symbol and making their phrase slightly longer. As you can see, modelling is a really simple but powerful technique. It's something you can integrate into everyday conversations, and it very quickly helps your child to learn how to use those symbols themselves for communication. So have fun and enjoy using Steps to Language.